Welcome back to Statement Piece. Today we have an episode on gift giving, the history, the consumer behavior behind it, and why we still participate in it, especially as we get into the holidays. Quick side note for anyone who is listening to the podcast, we are both wearing some furry Santa hats right now that Catherine convinced me to buy while she was visiting me because she loves Christmas spirit.
Yes, I really do. I really do. I think it's so sweet. Tonight, I'm taking myself on a date to the Grove because I've never been there during the holidays, and I think it's so festive there.
First, we're going to start with some current events.
So the FDA gave emergency clearance to the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine last Friday, and that is the COVID-19 vaccine. And today, which is December 18th, the FDA also cleared another vaccine made by Moderna. And so people are already starting to get vaccinated. My dad got vaccinated this week, and it is an exciting time. Hope is on the horizon. And something that's interesting is that the order in which people will get the vaccine is healthcare workers and people in long-term care facilities, essential workers, adults with underlying medical conditions, and people over 65, and then all other adults.
Our next current event is about the abduction of about 300 schoolboys in Dakar, Senegal. And these boys were taken by armed men in the middle of the night. So parents kept a vigil at their school for 6 days, and recently a state governor said that the boys had been released. And it's reminding a lot of the Nigerians about this gunman raid in their city, Kankara, in 2014, where 276 schoolgirls were abducted by an Islamist extremist group, and unfortunately, years later, 100 of the girls were still unaccounted for.
Well, on another note, the D'Amelios are releasing a show on Hulu. I think it's a reality TV show similar to Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and it will be released in 2021.
Our last current event is this concept brought up by the New York Times, and it's called Beyond Coming Out. So basically, last month, Hulu released one of its first major Christmas movies about a same-sex couple. It's called Happiest Season, and it's featuring a character named Abby, played by Kristen Stewart. So the movie actually broke records on the platform and received a lot of positive reviews from critics, and also myself and Catherine. And it has reopened a long-time debate about LGBTQ representation and why queer stories in Hollywood are so often about coming out. I thought that was an interesting concept because recently I also watched the musical Prom, which is a similar story about a young girl coming out.
All right, let's get into it.
Let's go over the history of gift giving. So I found this article from The Atlantic called Why Children Get Gifts on Christmas, a History. In 1800s, New York, the overlapping interests of middle-class families and the wealthy produced a cultural practice that's still in place today. And this article was published on December 25th, 2015. So basically, the article summarizes that presents do not actually have into Christian faith. However, some American families have established a three-gift Christmas in an effort to link the practice to the generosity of the three wise men in the story of Jesus' birth, but there is no actual religious text that indicates presents need to be given. A lot of critics of commercialization of Christmas actually credit the growth of gift giving to corporate marketing. Actually, the concept of gift giving, especially around Christmas for children, is before the spread of corporate capitalism in the United States. It actually began in the first half of the 1800s, specifically in New York City, and it was part of this transformation of Christmas from a time of public revelry into a home and child-centered holiday. So basically, this article talks about how the social elites and middle-class parents had these anxieties about rapidly urbanizing communities and wanted to have some sort of control over the new changes that were happening in their cities. So they decided to establish a midwinter celebration that combined this concept of home, family, and shopping. Combining these concepts strengthened this bond between Protestantism and consumer capitalism. And so this kind of was a concept that was continually applied through many reiterations of the holiday as a triumph of New York elites over the city's emerging working class, especially as New York's population grew immensely from 1800 to 1850, and the elites became more afraid of December rituals of quote-unquote social inversion where people of lower class would demand food and drink from the wealthy and celebrate in the streets and abandon established social constraints like on Halloween or New Year's Eve. So, in response to these concerns, there was a group of wealthy men who called themselves the Knickerbockers, and they invented a new series of traditions that gradually moved Christmas celebrations out of the city streets and into people's homes. And this was seen as a reinvigoration of Dutch customs practiced in New Amsterdam and New York and became a major American celebration.
Wow.
And so the article keeps on talking about how then it eventually became a focus not only on the home, but more so on children in the home. And it's also around this idea of trying to keep children safe at home and expose them to limited amounts of commercial entertainment in the streets, which I thought was really interesting. And so obviously that's kind of grown immensely into what it is now as a very capitalist driven celebration. I feel like.
But it's also interesting because I think people continue to engage in it because of its psychological impact. In an article by Insight and Regroup by Judy Stanagar called The Psychology of Gift Giving and Happiness, it cites that what many researchers have shown is that the giving of gifts provides the giver with as much satisfaction as the recipient by enabling the giver to experience a positive self-concept, to feel generous and valuable. In other words, it is better to give than to receive, and that if you want to be happy, you're better off spending on others than yourself. And I also recently listened to a podcast. It's a Mass Gen podcast called Shrinking It Down, and they discuss the psychological gift of giving a gift. And in it, they cited that if someone were to give you the gift of a raise or a bonus, for instance, you're really inclined to spend that on someone else, because I think it's kind of a cyclical motion, and you feel the joy of receiving the gift, and then you give the joy of giving the gift, and then you get joy in return. So it's almost even could be perceived as a selfish act to give a gift because you receive so much happiness from it.
That's an interesting thought. I was reading more about kind of consumer research and consumer behavior in gift giving in combination with this psychological benefit from giving a gift. There's this consumer researcher named Russell Belk who conducted a lot of research in 1979. He cited in this paper called Gift Giving, Consumer Motivation, and the Gift Purchase Process. And Belk identifies 4 functions of gift giving: to mark important life events, to establish and maintain interpersonal relationships, to create a medium of economic exchange, and to socialize children into the customs of society. So I feel like when we were talking about the history of gift giving, specifically around Christmas, you get that socializing children into the customs of society. And I feel like what you're talking about, Catherine, is kind of establishing and maintaining these interpersonal relationships, but also having this medium of economic exchange. I feel like a lot of people think that they have to give a gift out of obligation. Like if someone gives them a gift, they have to give a gift in return, and it may have to be of greater or equal value to the gift that the person has given you. Or I definitely think maintaining relationships is one thing that people feel obliged to give gifts. But I guess we're also ignoring the fact that someone may just love giving gifts. You know,
Yeah.
they're doing it out of the goodness of their heart and they really care about the person.
Yeah. So I was looking at this article by Wendy Rose Gold on Very Well Mind called What the Receiving Gift's Love Language Means for a Relationship. And I think for some people, gift giving would just be something that they like to do. And so it describes how, just like if you put a filter on an Instagram post, you look at things in your daily life through the lens of gift giving if your love language is gift giving. Like if you pass a bakery on your way home from work, you think, oh, my partner feels loved when I bring them gifts. And so they stop at the pastry to get them a little gift. And similarly, it's just the idea that you always associate someone with something, and the idea that you are always on my mind.
How would you define gift giving, and what are your reasons to do so?
I honestly, gift giving is definitely not my love language. I don't like giving gifts because I feel like people generally have what they want, and how I don't know how to predict what they want. So I feel like it's hard for me to put into thought what that person would want. And also for me, myself, I don't like to depend on other people. So if I need something or want something, then I just try to find a way to get it myself. And so I don't want to receive gifts either. I mean, I always think that it's really nice. And you?
I don't particularly love gift giving, but I do have little pings of inspiration as I become closer with someone, and I have my notes app ready for me. I always write,
Really?
like, if someone mentions a story or something and it reminds me of something, I'm like, wow, this would be a great gift for them. And that's what I think about gifts. Like, they don't need to be extravagant things in the terms of monetary value, but in sentimental value, I think that's the best. I think one really cool thing is to like find something that's rare or vintage that's related to that story or that little ping of inspiration, because it means so much more, and it means
Yeah.
that like you put the time into it to curate it. But I'm not a general gift giver. I think like me and my friends have gotten to a point where it kind of exactly what you're saying, like we all know that like what we want, and it's hard to buy gifts for each other. Or like I knew Catherine really liked this ice cream, and so when she came and stayed with me, I thought, oh, it would be nice to have that ice cream for her. So I like to do like little things like that.
I know. I was honestly really touched. But I guess that is the joy with gift giving, is that you feel so sweet when somebody thinks of you.
Yeah. And I like when my friends feel that way. Like
Yeah.
I want to make
See,
certain.
you're feeling the positive self-concept.
Yeah, I guess so. I just like people to know that there is someone that cares about them.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's just like you can do these small acts of kindness that mean so much, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned earlier the idea of getting someone something that's sentimental. And in the Empathy Bulletin article, it says that gender plays a role in gifts we choose. While women tend to attach more meaning and sentimentality to gifts, men tend to be more practical and give functional gifts. Most women would not relish a vacuum cleaner as a gift, useful as it may be. And dear Otis, who I know loves her vacuum cleaner, would you be pleased if someone got you another vacuum cleaner?
Yes. Okay. For me, cleanliness is a really big thing. I feel like if you get to know me, I do like to clean. I spend a lot
Mm,
of my time cleaning. So if I had a more efficient vacuum cleaner, then that would be great. But I also love my current vacuum cleaner. I do think functional gifts have their place. Sometimes I think they can seem a little odd when they seem out of place if you're just receiving a functional gift.
yeah. I guess gifts can be sentimental as opposed to practical and functional if being practical and functional is a part of your personality. Like, I feel like for you, you said the words, if you get to know me, you know that I'm a clean person. And so I feel like if someone gets you a cleaning product, then it implies that they got to know you.
Wow, that is great attention to detail.
But I feel like if someone got me a vacuum, I'd be like,
Are you telling me I'm not clean?
I mean, I'm not like the cleanest person around, but
I'm pretty clean.
I keep it lit. I can kick it.
So you would appreciate more of a sentimental gift.
Well, the thing is, I feel really, really bad when someone tries to spend money on me if it's a sentimental gift, because if I'm not going to use it and it's not functional, then I just feel like they wasted their money.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. There is like a level of discomfort, but I also feel like that's where it's almost transactional. Like you feel obliged to almost like the gift or
Yeah,
obliged to get them
give
an
a gift.
equal or greater value gift, right?
Yeah, I
So
know.
it puts you in a weird situation where you're like, okay, I don't love this.
Think it gets a little weird when you're gift giving if there's an age dynamic involved, because I feel bad if someone younger than I am gets me a gift, because especially now that I have an income.
Yeah, that is interesting because I feel like that is a dynamic that you have with older members of your family as well. Like with my cousins,
Mm,
whenever I go and visit them, they are really kind and generous,
yeah,
even
and
though
they'll
they don't
buy you
have to
dinner.
be. Yeah. But I guess it's similar. Like if I was in that position and I had a younger cousin, yeah, I'd probably take care of them too.
So perhaps we can pivot into a romantic setting for a moment. But do you think that more men tend to have the love language of gift giving? Because I feel like more men tend to feel obliged to be gentlemanly and always take care of the woman financially. Do you think that that's part of the gift giving love language, or is it just the idea of being a good guy?
Like, it depends on what context, because I think people can love gift giving outside of holidays and birthdays and stuff like that, which I think isn't necessarily someone feeling the innate desire to have to give a gift. I think they may just feel the social pressure to do so, because in a romantic setting, for example, I think a lot of men are pressured to have to plan something or buy something for Valentine's Day and Christmas and like all of these things and go above and beyond for their significant other's birthday. Like, if it was out of the holiday context, I think outside of the celebratory event setting, I think that just may be they have a desire to give gifts. What's your opinion?
Well, I think it makes me think about which love languages are the most popular, because it made me consider whether or not men were more inclined to be having the love language of gift giving than women, and just the intersectional nature of it, because we've already covered age and now we're thinking about gender. So I pulled up this Elite Daily article called "Which Love Language is Most Popular? It Depends on Your Gender, a Hinge Study Finds" by Candice Jalili on November 14th, 2018. And it says, according to the study, the most common love language by far is quality time for both men and women. In fact, it's chosen so frequently that it's more than twice as common as the second closest response, words of affirmation. When it comes to second place, it was a tie between physical touch and words of affirmation for most men. On the flip side, there was no tie at all for ladies, with words of affirmation as their second most common love language by far. So gift giving really doesn't tend to be a common one. Hinge's research found that women who choose acts of service as their love language get 6.6 times more likes on their Hinge profiles. And it seems as if reflecting on how you like to receive and display love matters to potential matches. In fact, women who chose to answer the question about what their love language is wound up receiving 5 times as many likes as women who skipped the question. And they also inquired, why are acts of service so attractive? A Hinge rep said, for certain men, it's thoughtful, small gestures, as opposed to physical affection or writing a love letter that mean the most. For them, actions speak louder than words.
What's the demographic breakup of this? Did they give like the age or what cities or overall Hinge users?
No, they did not.
That would be interesting to know in combination with age. Okay, so one question that has been on my mind is, how do you feel about re-gifting gifts?
Oh, this reminds me of in Keeping Up with the Kardashians, where Kendall gets really mad at Rob Kardashian for regifting an iPad to China. I think it's fine to regift gifts. I mean, my family has a cabinet where we store a bunch of gifts that none of us like, and then we regift them. Why not? It's like upcycling clothes.
I was just about to say that. I feel like it's good for the ecosystem. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Just throw it away? I don't think so. And I think it's fine to kind of recognize that maybe something isn't for you, but it'd be perfect for someone else.
Yeah, I agree. But it's sort of a taboo. It's sort of a taboo to not like the gift. It's a taboo to ask for the receipt. It's a taboo to regift it. There's a lot of taboos with gift giving.
Well, I think that's the whole thing with the behavior out of it, right? Like, you're out of obligation. You're supposed to like the gift. You're supposed to really appreciate it and see the value in it.
So do you actually ever care what the gift is if you think there's a lot of effort put into it?
I guess that's a good point, because even if the gift isn't exactly an exact match, I do appreciate a lot of the effort. Whereas if someone just bought me like a pack of socks, actually a pack of socks is a bad example because I would love a pack of socks. Pajamas, those are the best gifts. Everyone needs socks and pajamas. Okay.
That's true.
But if someone bought me like a mini pack of variety nail polish, I know they didn't put the effort in. They probably just picked it up while checking out at Sephora or Target or wherever. And I don't think a lot of thought went into it because it's just a general gift and I'm not a nail polish fanatic.
Yeah.
So it just wouldn't seem to make sense. Since we're talking about kind of finding the perfect gift for someone, I've really been wondering about the concept of gift guides. What are your thoughts?
I've never used a gift guide, but when you mention gift guides, it makes me think of Nate app, which has been, or it's just called Nate, and it's meant to be a gifting app. And I've been seeing it because a lot of large influencers have been promoting it, and a lot of very differing influencers have been promoting it, like Dixie D'Amelio and Lucas Abbott. It's as though you have a Spotify playlist for different gifts. So for instance, if you want to adopt an animal for someone, it gives you a bunch of links to how you can adopt an animal. Or if you want to get someone like interesting jewelry, then you can look at their kind of mood gift board with a bunch of links to interesting jewelry or like fun socks and things like that. Is that
So
what
it's
you
like
mean
a
by
gift
gift guide?
so it's like a gift registry.
But you don't curate it yourself. I think that it's a public thing, as
Oh.
how Spotify playlists are a public thing.
That's interesting. So I was talking about gift guides in the sense of if you go on Goop, for example, they have gift guides for the home chef, for a significant other, for a
Oh.
man in your life, for the person who's super organic and spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of blogs and websites do things of that sort. Like I know YouTubers have done that in the past where like gift guides for like X person in your life and would give a lot of ideas. I don't think I've ever truly used them unless I don't know what to get someone. Like I don't know someone very well.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I have to do Secret Santa or something, I think that's when a gift guide comes in handy because you're shopping for a type of person.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that reminds me of my high school friends and I are doing a Secret Santa, and we're doing it through the website Elfster. And on that website, you can curate your own wish list. And then you're supposed to the person, the things that are on their wish list.
So I feel like in that
Um,
sense, it's like a gift registry where like you pick what
yeah,
you want and then you're gonna get something on that list.
Yeah, but I felt so weird because the person that was my Secret Santa didn't have anything on their wish list. So I brainstormed all these different ideas. And then I was about to get something. And then she added to her wish list immediately, like 24 hours later. So I canceled my order. And I was just kind of thinking, do I still get her the original gift, or do I get her something that she says that she actually wants? I mean, obviously, no one's going to know her better than herself, but it made it feel less personal.
That is true. I guess it does make it more impersonal. I do agree with what you're saying with the example that you brought up about your friend, how it's more impersonal. But I do think you do have to put in a little more effort for a gift guide. You know where it does come in handy is like if it's someone of the opposite gender or a completely different age range and you don't know what to get them. Like, what do
Mm.
you get for a tween? Like I'm not in that age range.
That's so true though, because one of my friend's little cousins is coming next week to visit, and I FaceTimed her before and I literally don't know what to talk to her about because she's 14. And I'm like, well, you're not young enough to be treated like a kid, but you're not old enough for me to be talking to you about like dating apps or Euphoria. Like even Euphoria, I feel like is a little too explicit for her.
No, that's definitely true. You can talk to her about TikTok.
That's what we do talk about. I comment on her TikToks and she comments on mine.
Cute.
Yeah. Well, usually if I really care about the person, I think about what do I want? And
Mm.
then I just get them that.
So, on that same vein, how do you feel about giving gifts to yourself?
Well, every time I buy myself something, I don't really see it as a gift. I saw this TikTok last week that was like the series where this girl was determined to take herself on dates. So she would set up like real things and like real dinners and go and take herself out on a date. And I think I'm going to start doing that because you should treat yourself as good as you treat others, the best.
You should treat yourself how you want to be treated as well.
Yeah, yeah. And so I think I tend to be really gracious about how other people are doing, but I tend to be harsh on myself. So I'm going to try and treat myself better and really see what I'm doing to myself as gifts or like a date, for instance, and really take it seriously in that way. So I think I used to not feel any type of way about giving gifts to yourself, but I think now I'm going to see everything that I get myself as a gift.
Oh, that's sweet.
And you?
I am actually a gift giver for myself. A lot of my purchases are symbolism of some accomplishments in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So like some of my rings, like I bought myself this ring when I graduated from my master's program and I wear it almost every single day. And when I look down on it, it just like makes me proud of everything that I've done. Or even before I was applying to grad school when I was taking the GRE, I bought myself this shirt and I bought it once I like hit the score that I wanted.
Mm.
And then I kept the receipt and I kept it in my room. I did not open it. It was still completely wrapped exactly how I bought it. And then once I took the GRE and got that score, I was like, okay, you can have this.
Wait, that is so sweet.
I don't know, you have to make the most of your little accomplishments because if you don't, who will?
Yeah, that's true. Wow. So you really do take giving gifts to yourself seriously. Maybe I should get myself a little gift.
All right. So, this holiday season, are you buying any gifts for anyone? Any secret someone's?
Oh my gosh, no. I'm literally only buying for my high school friend group Secret Santa and my mom.
Do you think COVID has impacted gift giving?
I don't know. It's really a subjective question. I would like to say yes, because perhaps people are now trying to express affection through physical gifts since we can't see as many people. And people are trying to make the most of the little things. And so something like a little gift could make someone feel better or make their day. But at the same time, we're not seeing as many people and you feel more distant from others.
I think you feel more distant from others, but also I think people have been forced to spend more time with their families. So quality time has definitely become more so the gift. There's this New York Times article called Gift Giving Will Be Different This Year. Finances may be tight, but shopping will go on. And at least one person is thinking of reviving Christmas cards by Melanie Abrams, published on November 25th, 2020. And the article talks about how COVID has changed the way that we work and shop and spend our free time and how we see our friends and extended family. And so it also kind of forces us to alter the way that we think about giving gifts because, like Catherine said, we won't be seeing people, but I think people are trying to think of more sentimental ways for people to connect with others. And I like how they brought up Christmas book card because that is something that I have kind of participated in this year. I've never made one by myself. My family usually sends one to my extended family, but I sent one of me and my dog to my friends and their parents because I think it's just a cute gesture.
Love it.
Yes. So, Catherine, you should be receiving one soon.
I look forward to it.
All right. Well, I think that was some great discussion on gift giving. Any last remarks?
No, I think it was very fruitful. I learned a lot.
Yeah. And I think it'll be interesting to see as the economy picks up if gift giving is going to change in the future.
All right. That's all for now, folks.
Happy
Do-do-do.
holidays.
Yes, because next week will be Christmas, next weekend.
Well, happy holidays to anyone who is celebrating these past weeks or this upcoming week. And we will be back with next week's episode.
That's all for now, folks. Do-do-do-do-do-do.
Hey.